Now, for Crist, those southern counties are critical. Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach. He has to have those. A little over 3 million voted early as of this morning statewide. Now, Republicans were leading Democrats by a small margin, about 3%. Independents accounted for about 18% of those early votes, and they were leaning Crist. Now, after you really crunch all of those numbers together, they came in today about where they've been in all the recent polls, about 42-42. Now, if you assume that voter turnout across the state is at 50%, that means that Democrats have to turn out 2% more than the Republicans. Now, that's doable, but it's difficult. Very, very close to calling Kansas at this point, so it looks like we're going to be there. I don't know that it'll stop there. You still have Iowa that's out. You still have Alaska that's out. So it may be, Haley and Scott, that you see Iowa, Alaska, Virginia, North Carolina still sitting out there. And, of course, Louisiana has already been called to go into a runoff in December. This wasn't a Republican wave. This was a Republican tsunami. If the Republicans take control, they're going to be expected to come up with some kind of compromise. They're going to be expected to lead. And in fact, there are some Democrats who are saying, okay, if you follow history and the Republicans take control of the Senate, act as they have. Don't do well with the Republican House that tends to be more conservative, then in fact what you might have is another flip come 2 years in the presidentials. There were a lot of politics that went into this. I mean, it was pushed initially by John Morgan, who put it out there. Of course, Charlie Crist worked in his firm. There were a lot of people who thought Amendment 2 went on the ballot because it was a way to drive young people to the vote, out to vote, and then, of course, vote for the Democrat. Didn't seem to turn out that way this time around. And secondarily now tonight, with the votes here in Florida, you're now going to have a supermajority of Republicans in the Florida House. And some folks felt as if the Charlotte's Law was actually put into place by Republicans, so they, in fact, could then have something to say against Amendment 2.
Sure, it was a preemptive,
Right. So there was a lot, Haley and Scott, there were a lot of things going on with that Amendment 2. And for those who were really looking at this amendment from a pure medical marijuana point of view, I think there are going to be a whole lot of disappointed people tonight because it came very, very close, but it just couldn't get there. Also have some additional news in the state of North Carolina. They have just now called that Senate race for the Republican. So that's now another seat that's gone over to the Republican side, leaving now 3 races, Iowa, Alaska, and Virginia, which remains too close to call. Around 2,000 votes, last time I checked, was separating that race.
Maybe you all